Here we have the VT-49 Decimator expansion pack for the Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game by Fantasy Flight. In this video I will perform a detailed unboxing, showing the full contents in close-up detail with zoom-ins on the ship, as well as all the cards and tokens, so you can see and read all the text. Okay, the box is wrapped in cellophane, which you need to rip off and dispose of. The box itself will be in two parts. You need to pull out a section that contains all the tokens, cards and rules. I can get rid of that now. Always good to see a rule book, the base, thick cardstock, the button to make the dial. We'll come to those later. Now let's get the figure out. I'm making plenty of room for this. Now my Decimator is actually loose, so I can see this rattling around a little bit. So I'm going to just demonstrate that. That shouldn't be happening. So what I suspect is there's no tags or tape on this. And unfortunately my figure has, in all the jostling and the journey, unclicked. Yes, so it's very loose. Normally that would be seated down further. There we go, and I've clicked it in place now and it's more solid. So be wary of your Decimator when you're buying one. Check that the guns on the top and the bottom aren't damaged. So you've got some guns on the top there and some on the bottom there on the base, and that all is well. Now my figure, although it was loose, is absolutely in perfect condition. So what I'm going to do is quickly pop this in the base and then we can get some good close-up detail zooms. Looking at the scale of the Decimator, it's a big ship. So I've got Slave just beside, just to give you an idea of scale. And it's a sleek line, very pointy, and boy, these things point out. I'm sure people will be catching themselves moving ships in and around there. But it's a beautiful designed ship. There's always a simpler coloration and paintwork on all the Imperial ships, and we'll zoom in, but there's only a few minor flashes of blue that you see mostly on the rear end of this ship. Whilst I've actually got it on this angle, I'm going to quickly move Slave away and bring in the Millennium Falcon, because I thought the Decimator was absolutely huge, possibly even too big. But actually, measuring up against the Millennium Falcon, this is only about 1.5 centimetres longer, so there's actually not a great deal in it. And actually the Millennium Falcon with a kind of two-prong pointing over from front base is exactly the same kind of idea as the Decimator. So it's not as bad as I thought it was the first time I saw it in its box. It looks huge, and it is large, but it's not stupid. So let's zoom right in now. I'll let the camera focus before I move away that TIE Fighter. There we go. So what you can see is a really kind of mixture of styles going on around the ship. So you've got the front cockpit that looks very much like a TIE Fighter and has echo points. Now whilst I'm on the back, I'm going to zoom in even more just to give you that kind of, let you see this blue kind of paint speckleness that's going on here. So there's only a few points, don't get me wrong, and there's some interesting, I don't know, they're too small for engines, but there's something going on here at the back there with those two black proud blobs at the back. But you've got these small points that echo this slightly blue square coloration going on. And you don't get a lot of colour on Imperial Navy ships, so it's pleasant and nice to see. So the only thing I've got as a negative is I have a little bit of an R2-D2 flashback moment when I see this very, very top bridge area, which is a bit of a shame. I like the actual front cockpit nose area, and I'm not sure why the ship has to have these two, but I guess that's very much its style. On the box itself, I'm going to just pull back a little bit because the box is just to the right here. The actual coloration of the windows, now I'm sure it's reflective on the cloud dust that's also in the image. They kind of look red and really kind of nicer, and I think that would look nice, a little bit of colour there. There's that kind of evil, sharp blood scarlet red going on in the windows. But all in all, nice ship, very sleek, looks absolutely brilliant with your TIE Fighters, and you could well believe this being the head of a small fleet off to go to war. So, you know, sorry Darth Vader, but your shuttle looked cool to start with, but I'd much rather go to war toting in a Decimator than I would any Lambda shuttle. Here's a quick look at everything that's inside the box. 3 thick card stock sheets, lots of debris fields, movement dial, particularly good looking bomb, look forward to letting that off. Plenty of enhancement cards, 4 pilot cards, of course the ship, and 3 rule cards, and a little bomb just side to the left here. Mission 11 is also included. It's called Interdiction. And the main theme about this is basically the Imperial player trying to destroy some Rebel players already in an asteroid field, and there's a rule in this game where shooting and destroying a Rebel ship will actually turn the Rebel ship into a debris cloud, and it's the Imperial player who places the debris cloud. Now, as you can see, some of the debris clouds are absolutely huge, and there's always one part of that covers the point where the Rebel ship was. You're basically able to throw debris in the front or in the way of other Rebel ships trying to flee. So it's a good old cat and mouse game, Imperial hunting down prey, where you've got this added benefit of not just an asteroid field, but you can clutter the space out with debris, and there's a debris rule for this particular mission. Looks fun. Quick look underside. Now my base pegs are a little bit loose, so it's going to lift off very easily, so I'm going to just do that to make this all the easier. So the 360 weapon on the top, and a quick look at the underside, a bit more detail. Obviously a 360 weapon underneath there. I'm going to just zoom in. There's not a great deal more detail underneath. It really does echo the top. Bit more detailing around this front section, which is quite nice. But all in all, very, very simple, clean, sharp lines. That is the Imperial Navy. And the rear of this, quickly, let's send it back over right the way up again. Rear of this does really kind of feel, there's a little bit of lambda shuttle ports here for the engines, let's say, but the overall style, that's a real Star Destroyer in miniature, isn't it? So some really nice kind of feel and features about this ship, and it bodes well with what else is to come in the future. We've got 4 pilot cards. All the ships are the same, so they've got an attack of 3, agility of 0, yep, a 0, hull of 12, shield of 4, so that's 16. It's going to take a lot to damage this ship and destroy it, but with an agility of 0, it's going to take some easy and frequent hits. Okay, let's look at the action bar, very standard. You've got a focus and a target lock, nothing special going on there, but pretty impressive and well stocked upgrade bars. So all the ships get 1 torpedo, 3 crew and 1 bomb. That's quite impressive. And the 3 named pilots all have the elite pilot upgrade option as well. Starting with the cheapest patrol leader, so you've got a standard card here, 3-point pilot, 40-point cost, not cheap, but the most expensive is only 46, so if you're in that kind of field of 40 to 50 points, you can get yourself a very large commanding flagship for a small patrol. To be granted command of a VT-49 Decimator was seen as a significant promotion for a middling officer of the Imperial Navy. Then we have Captain Oiken. After executing a maneuver, each enemy ship you are touching suffers 1 damage. So 4-point pilot skill, 42-point card, and you've got yourself a bumper car here. So this guy can actually go charging around the table, actually suffering, and always good to do unavoidable damage, 1 damage to anything it touches. Good anti-swarm card. Commander Ken Kirk, 6-point pilot, 44 points, getting a decent pilot skill now. If you have no shield or at least 1 damage card assigned to you, increase your agility value by 1. Quite interesting. So that quite happily mitigates that shield of 4 quite quickly. Once your shields are down, you've then got an agility 1, which will really help keep that hull going for the rest of the game. And not a bad price, 6 for 44. It's only 4 points more than the basic card. And now we've got an 8-point pilot. We've got Rear Admiral Chirinau, or Chirinau, depending on how that name should be pronounced. 46 points. When attacking at range 1 to 2, you may change one of your focus results to a critical result. So that's going to be quite a good damage giver. 3-point attack across the board. So this Decimator really can pack some damage, and the Rear Admiral can certainly add his reputation and destructive powers to that prowess. Looking at the Decimator manoeuvres, you can see that there's no red. So although it can't do a 180-degree turn, it's got the ability to go 4 straight forward, and it's got good bank at 1 to 3, and it can even do a high turn, a good tight turn at 2s and 3. So very manoeuvrable for such a large ship. Certainly not what I expected. Very nippy indeed. Here are all the upgrade cards, and there are some really good ones in here. Intimidation, 2-point card. While you are touching an enemy ship, reduce that ship's agility value by 1. That's really quite useful in combination. So again, if you're planning to touch enemy ships, that's an added bonus. Bumper cars, anyone? Ruthlessness. Now there are 2 of these. 3-point card, Imperial only. After you perform an attack that hits, you must choose one other ship at range of 1 of the defender, other than yourself, that also suffers 1 damage. So you can't hurt yourself, but you can absolutely hurt the enemy neighbouring ships close to that defender. Great unavoidable damage. 2 of these, I think, really good anti-swarm card that I think is going to be used across the fleet. You've then got 2 of these torpedoes, so it's an ion torpedo, so it's a bit of a new idea here. So ion damage instead of normal torpedo damage. So attack target lock, spend the target lock and discard this card to perform the attack. If this attack hits the defender and each ship at range 1 of it receives 1 ion token. So it's a good, again, anti-swarm, great one for hitting those close-knit ties. Then one of my favourites, so this ship upgrade card, it's a large ship only modification, tactical jammer, there are 2 of them, only 1 point. Your ship can obstruct enemy attacks. So for a large ship getting in the way, so if you imagine this great big decimator with a line of ties following it in, you've basically got yourself the ability to give some extra defence dice for the ships behind it, so they can skulk behind it, bit of safety. Large ships are now not just movement blockers, they're now defence givers. Brilliant. Okay, let's go through to some of these crew. All 4 of these are excellent. Moff Gerard, Imperial only, all 4 Imperial onlys. When you are dealt a face-up damage card, you may discard this upgrade card or another crew upgrade card to flip that damage card face down without resolving its effect. So when you get a critical damage you just cannot afford to take, he's a great one to put out the bag. Mara Jade. At the end of the combat phase, each enemy ship at range 1 that does not have a stress token receives a stress token. You're going to be causing havoc with those ships that are trying to navigate around tight asteroid fields and congested map areas. 3 points. Fleet Officer. As an action, choose up to 2 friendly ships at range 1 to 2 and assign 1 focus token to each of those ships and then receive 1 stress token. 1 stress token, a great big ship like this, no big deal. And you're able to give almost all of your ships. So let's say you were surrounded by your ties, just about to break formation, just about to go into the attack. 2 friendly ships, range 1 to 2, easy to do this. 1 focus token each, brilliant. And Insane Assad. At the start of the combat phase, if you have no shields and at least 1 damage card assigned to your ship, you may perform a free evade action. Very similar wording to Commander Ken Kirk, but this card gives you a free evade action, guaranteeing you saving some damage. 4 points, I think worth that. Dauntless, this is the title card for the VT-49 Decimator. After you execute a manoeuvre that causes you to overlap another ship, you may perform 1 free action, then receive 1 stress token. Free action for a stress token, touching, contacting ships, ramming, lots of common themes here. Nice title card. And proton bombs, so we've seen this before. When you reveal your manoeuvre dial, you may discard this card to drop 1 proton bomb token. This token detonates at the end of the activation phase. I really like it when you have some good build options out of the box. So all these cards I'm showing you now are already in the box set. On the left here we have a build with Oikum, 49 points, and on the right Ken Kirk, 51. So with Oikum, title card Dauntless, Intimidation and Mara Jade, you've got here a very aggressive bumper car. So you've got a ship that wants to attack, keep getting in close, get into contact, and I mean range 1, range 0, you know, you want to actually be hitting those enemy rebel scum, and this is the card and build to do it. It's a very simple build, 49 points. You can absolutely enhance that if you don't want to restrict yourself to an under 50 point build. Ken Kirk, 51 points, a little bit more expensive, but a different kind of emphasis. Still aggressive. You know, when you've got 3 attack dice, this is an aggressive ship. But once you start losing those shields, and you're going to be a target, you can be that target soak for longer. So 4 shields gone, 1 of those hulls gone. Ken Kirk's ability, you've now got an additional agility dice. With Insane Assad on board, you then got an extra guaranteed evade going on if you play the card cleverly. So with an evade and an agility, you're then going to hold out longer. So once you get to that 11 hull point, you're going to be that soak, and that's going to keep on going. Ruthlessness. I really like Ruthlessness. I've played this ship and this card in. If you're not in quite so close and your ties aren't in quite so close, it's brilliant. You get those extra 1 points here, there and everywhere. Unavoidable damage, awesome card. If 100 points aren't your limit, I'd be adding tactical jammers if you've got that extra point spare here and there. And I might even consider a Moff Gearjod if he's spare and you've got another couple of points, because that critical damage that could really ruin your ship will just mean that that can keep that lasting, and you can decide also whether to discard a different crew member, or it could be a bit of a sacrifice of the Moff himself. So some really nice options there straight out of the box. And I think if you actually had 2 Decimators on the table, just 2 Decimators on the table for your 100-point fleet, and it was an unexpected land, I don't know what the Rebel player would do with that. I really think they'd be a little bit surprised, if not shocked, if not horrified, if not turned to run. So interesting combination. You can really do something quite nice with this. I can't wait to have the Decimator with a bunch of ties on a table. It stops you doing 100% swarms. I think this actually gives you some real punch and can really dictate the way you and your ties fly around the board a little bit. Sure, he can't keep up, he can't do the turns of the TIE fighters, but boy is he going to be a great one to go in first with a punch, and when he slowly turns around to come back and mop up what's left of your, after your TIE squadron has done whatever damage they've managed to do before they've all either split, run or been destroyed, this guy's going to mop them up. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's an exciting ship. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment.